If you're in the market for an all-terrain electric skateboard and would want something that can really go off-road while offering the best riding experience in terms of stability and comfort,
Yes!
without the monstrous weight like an EcoMobile M24 Pro or a Propel X4S,
Yes!
then the Endeavor S lineup from Propel is a great entry off-road board to get for a substantially lower price than the two boards that I just mentioned. On top of that, Propel EV has recently upgraded their Endeavor lineup for both the S and Pro models by creating a second generation of these boards, but in this video, I'll be comparing and testing the Endeavor S lineup to see what the differences and similarities are between the first Endeavor S versus the new Endeavor2 S, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to Tech Up. This time around, I'm going to be reviewing something different compared to my usual videos on this channel, and it's been a thing that I've been interested in for quite some time, ever since I got my hands on a one-wheel. The electric skateboard market has had its ups and downs over the years, but with Propel's line of all-terrain off-road electric skateboards, I really wanted to get my hands on their Endeavor S board. So I finally decided to get one, and in this video, I'll be going over what you'll get, the design, features, and specs for both the new and old Endeavor S boards, and I'll also let you know what the riding experience is on them. Furthermore, I'll perform some tests on various surfaces and give you my honest take on what I think about the boards, and help you out with determining which board you might want to get after going over the differences and seeing if the Endeavor2 S is worth the extra money. Anyways, feel free to skip ahead to any part of this review. So, when unboxing both of these boards, the items you will get will include the boards themselves, along with a bag, which will include extra belts and tools for adjustments, as well as the remote and a lithium battery charger. But you won't get a spare tire and tube for them, so if you want one, you'll unfortunately have to buy those off Propel's website. Now, when looking at both of these Endeavor S's side by side, they pretty much look identical at first with a quick glimpse, and you might not notice the differences right away. However, there are certainly some variations between the design and features when looking at them up close. But when it comes down to similarities on both boards, the remote, 8-inch all-terrain tires, 6374 motors, the maple deck, and grip, as well as the independent suspension system, including the 50mm coilover shocks that provide great stability when riding these boards, were pretty much the same. Propel does, however, sell some parts separately since a few of them were redesigned on the new Endeavor2 S. Anyways, I'll also point out a few differences later on of my riding experiences between them, but the biggest difference that you can see right away is that the first Endeavor S doesn't come with the new Bravura alloy wheels that the Endeavor2 S has on its tires. Propel EV claims that these aero-grade wheels offer higher material stability, and they certainly do look a lot nicer compared to the first Endeavor plastic wheels. Furthermore, the tires, like I mentioned, are the same with the exact same dimensions on both boards. However, the PSIs are different with the separate designs for their wheels, where the old Endeavor S requires to inflate it to 40 PSI per tire, while the new Endeavor S requires 60 PSI. Also, another big difference between these boards is that on the new Endeavor S, the antenna has been redesigned, with it being enclosed and more flush to the side of the board. But on the first Endeavor S, the antenna is sticking out from the side, and it could get easily damaged. Therefore, that's the reason why Propel redesigned it, because there have been a good amount of complaints with riders damaging the antenna easily on the first Endeavor S. However, you can purchase a 2-pack of 90-degree mini antennas really cheap to replace it on the first Endeavor board, or have a few spares in case it breaks. I have the link to these antennas in the description below. Moreover, the charging ports are in different spots for both of them. The Endeavor S has it under the bottom cover, while the new Endeavor S has it placed right next to the side of the redesigned antenna. Now, since I'm covering the charging ports, the charging is very similar, and I'll get into the charging time later, but both come with the same lithium battery chargers for both boards, and I have to say, they are pretty loud when charging the boards. Yeah, that's how it sounds, and I wish they were quieter, but it looks like you'll have to deal with that noise. Anyways, you'll know once the boards are fully charged since the fan in the charger turns off. The other differences that I could also find were near the motors and belts. Looks like Propel decided to alter the design near the motors and also the bottom part of the suspension on each of the boards. However, the belts on both look the same with a different design on the pulley systems for possibly more improvement. As for the base plates on these two boards, the Endeavor2 S has more screws than the older Endeavor S board, but accessing the bushings is easier on the Endeavor2 S, and you'll be able to swap them out a lot quicker with different bushings. As for the adjustments on these boards, you can adjust the coilover shocks by tightening or loosening them depending on how you'd like the comfort of your ride to be. In addition to those adjustments, you can also loosen or tighten the adjustment rod on the bottom part of the suspension for changing how you'd like your turning force to be when you're on the deck. So if you want deeper carving with sharper turns, then loosening them on both ends will help with that. Now, speaking of all these adjustments, Propel also decided to change up the bushings by adding gray 85A bushings on the Endeavor2 S, while the Endeavor1 S comes with black 90A bushings. Therefore, the new Endeavor S offers more flexibility and deeper carving with turns than the older one out of the box. And it was a noticeable difference when testing both of these boards out without adjusting the rods. When riding both of them, I did feel how stiff the Endeavor1 S was with turns compared to the newer one. However, I'll go into more detail about all of that when I talk about my riding experience later. But before going over that, let's cover the specs. On paper, both have the same dimensions and motors, and they also pack the same features like I've already mentioned when going down the list, except for one new physical difference, which are the wheels. Now, when charging these boards, it will take close to 4 hours to charge them from 0 to 100% from my experience. As for the remotes, they all are the same with no differences. On both of them, you have the same button and wheel layout for acceleration and braking, and you'll have the ability to see battery details, your mileage, as well as the option to go through 4 modes that offer different acceleration and speeds, which include low, middle, high, and pro. Moreover, you can also activate cruise control on it to cruise at a desired speed, and you'll have the ability to ride the board forward or backwards by pressing the power button twice, which isn't confusing at all.
What?
Now, when it comes down to the range on these boards, it will of course depend on how much you weigh and how hard you ride them, but the speed and range will be the same for both since Propel didn't make any changes to the battery or motors on the new Endeavor S. With me weighing at 175 pounds, I was able to get close to 25 miles out of them. But here's the range you would get based on your weight. For this test, I rode casually on it most of the time, and there were occasions where I did kick it up a notch in speed, but primarily was at a cruising speed on the middle or high gear setting for this range test. Now, since I've covered the physical differences and similarities between these boards, you're most likely wondering what my experience was like when riding on them. Well, both were very similar, however, they have different bushings on them like I mentioned earlier. But by adjusting the shocks and the adjustment rods, which I did on the Endeavor1 S, I did get it to carve and turn more to what the Endeavor2 S offers out of the box without any adjustments. But the bushings on the Endeavor2 S will still offer even more deeper and flexible turns. But if you're someone who wants a more stable board with slightly more stiff turns, then the old Endeavor S will offer that with its bushings. In the end, if you were to put the same bushings on both boards, they would perform the same way. There really wouldn't be a difference between them. So, both were pretty much the same ride when it came down to various surfaces. They handled grass, paved paths, dirt, and gravel really well. The paved surfaces felt smooth like butter when riding on them, and with these all-terrain wheels, grass, dirt, and even gravel did put the independent suspension system on these boards to work by absorbing all the bumps, and it certainly is a noticeable difference when compared to other 2-in-1 all-terrain boards with trucks. Propel certainly speaks the truth when they say that your feet will thank you after riding on these types of surfaces, especially when you're going long distances. And since we're on the topic of riding, these boards can also ride up a hill, and I've performed a few tests with them going up and over a 30-degree incline, and they definitely have the ability to get to the top, which is pretty impressive. Now, with everything that I've gone over on these two boards, you're most likely thinking, are these types of boards for me? Well, if you're someone who really wants to get out there on any surface and carve and ride easily over pretty much anything that's rideable on a board, then these Endeavor S's are going to be great with this unique suspension system that truly offers great stability and comfort when riding on any reasonable terrain. This board can easily go over big cracks and small potholes without really making it uncomfortable. But if you're someone who really wants something portable and compact as well as easy to maneuver when turning in tight spaces, then this is certainly not the board for you. Its turning radius is wide compared to other boards out there considering the left and right wheels are so far apart. Moreover, when riding this board off-road on either grass or dirt, you're going to eventually get dead grass or small sticks caught near the belts, so it's crucial to clean these areas after or during riding because you wouldn't want your belts to snap or your pulley system to get damaged. Debris is going to eventually cause harm to it over time since it's an open board when you don't clean it, and you'll get random noises that could lead to issues if it's not properly taken care of. So clean anything you can, especially the pulley system and motors from time to time. By the way, a pressurized air duster would be perfect to have and use on this board. Now, considering it's an off-road board, it's not a board for big puddles or water that you can ride in or over. I would stay away from those as these boards aren't waterproof. It will, however, be okay to ride on slightly wet surfaces, which I did after a rain shower. However, I truly think it's an ideal board for someone who's an outdoor adventurer that really enjoys riding on long trails. From my experience riding on these boards, it's great when you could just go off a paved path and onto the grass in order to get around people. And surprisingly, thanks to the suspension and wide deck, as well as its design, it's also a great part-time go-kart. Yeah, you heard that right, if you want to use it that way, and honestly, I really enjoy riding it like this, not gonna lie. It's definitely not a good idea to ride it sitting down and for a long time, but I gotta say it's pretty fun, and it's comfortable to sit on and control it. But in the end, if you're in the market for something that is different from a 2-in-1 all-terrain board with regular trucks or a small compact electric skateboard, then the Propel Endeavor S boards can certainly be a fantastic and great all-around off-road experience for the price. Both boards do have a subtle amount of differences and improvements, as well as a lot of similarities. But I hope, with my preliminary review after testing these out for a few weeks, gave you a good amount of info on determining whether the price is worth it for the new Endeavor S. Potentially, the first Endeavor S may go away with this new and improved Endeavor2 S that just came out, but if you're interested in getting one, you can possibly still get it for a lower price. Anyways, if you like this review, don't be afraid to hit that like button, and if you're interested in seeing more reviews like this, please smash that subscribe button, and I hope to see you back here for another video.